Hey, what's going on, everybody? My name is Stan Peets, and today, or tonight, I guess, we're going to sit down and go through some mock drafts for the Pittsburgh Steelers. So, no one else's mock drafts. We're actually creating our own using the Draft Network's mock simulator. So, I'll pull it up. Here we can see we got the mock draft obviously pull up. We're going to go through it live, see what we can get here. And if I'm the Pittsburgh Steelers, I'm looking. Well, let's get this rolling. Let's just start going. I am a member. I am signed up for their premium content, so I can create trades if I want to. We're not going to do that in the first mock draft here. I'm hoping that we can string this on for maybe 30 minutes or so. And they're already calling. They're already calling with offers. So let's check it out. I said I wasn't going to trade it. I said I was going to trade this one. So let's not trade for this first one. Let's just go through it here and see what we can get. Now, if I'm the Pittsburgh Steelers, I'm picking at 24, which is fairly low down in the first round. Obviously, you started off 11-0. We'll get here and we see some interesting prospects on the board. Guys like Zaven Collins, who I really like. I think Zaven Collins is going to be phenomenal because he's so dynamic. So he's got a lot he can accomplish here in the NFL. So I really like him. And pairing him with Devin Bush would be phenomenal, but do we really want to use first-round draft capital on a linebacker again? I mean, how many linebackers have we taken? And I haven't been a Steelers fan, obviously, for as long as a lot of people because of how young I am, but Ryan Shazier, Bud Dupree, TJ Watt, Lawrence Timmons, Jarvis Jones, I guess you could say that was an outside linebacker. So we've taken so many linebackers in the first round, and Devin Bush, obviously, most recently. I would try to avoid taking Zaven Collins here. I think, personally, I believe that the Pittsburgh Steelers need to focus on the offensive line. I know the running game was not good this past season. It hasn't been good for a little while now. But I think the biggest issue for that, at least this past season, was the fact that the offensive line took such a step back. And I think a large part of that is age. I mean, Villanueva is not getting any younger. He's a free agent this year. Marquise Pouncey is considering retirement. We saw it happen in the playoff game against Cleveland. So obviously he's getting up there. He's past his all-pro days. David Castro is no longer an all-pro either. He's starting to degrade a lot. Degrade sounds a little bit – that's a little too negative. He's starting to show some signs of regression, which happens to everyone because of old age, and especially in an aggressive sport like football. So Pouncey's considering retirement. I don't know if I'm going to say his last name right, but Matt Filer or Filer. I never figured it out. I think it's Filer. He was playing at right tackle last season. He was very good there. They moved him to guard this year, which is a move that I understand because of the need at the position, but also I would prefer him to stay at tackle. I think he's better at tackle, but they kicked him inside. He's a free agent as well, and he's a great player to have if we really need a guy like that. So hopefully we can get him back. But let's say we don't. And we're not re-signing Alejandro Villanueva. So that's 2 starters gone, and Pouncey retires. That's 3 starting offensive linemen gone. If, frankly, the right tackle we had this year, I wouldn't want him starting again next season anyways. So we need at least 2 new starting offensive linemen from the draft. And you can get those probably in rounds 1, 2, or 3. And looking at running back, we've got Benny Snell back there. We just used the draft pick of Anthony McFarland last year. Do I feel confident in either of those guys? Absolutely not. It's unfortunate, but I really don't. I thought James Conner was our best back last year or this past season, and he's going to be a free agent. We're not going to re-sign him. We're probably not going to re-sign Juju Smith-Schuster either, just because of the salary cap, how little money we have. I would actually rather re-sign Mike Hilton or Cameron Sutton on the defense than re-sign any of the offensive guys, maybe outside of Filer because of what he means to the offensive line, because he is younger comparatively to some of the players who are showing some signs of regression. But here we are. Pick 24. I've already checked myself out as Zaven Collins. Gregory Rousseau, I hope I'm saying the last name right, it would be phenomenal here. I think it's a great value pick at 24 overall, considering what he can be and considering what he did in that one dominant year at Miami. Although he didn't play this past year. I'm going to pass on him. Kadarius Toney, that'd be a great receiving weapon, but I mean, we've drafted receivers all the time. I'm sure we're going to draft another one at some point this year. But we don't need one right now. We just got Chase Claypool. He could be good. Deontay Johnson, when he's not dropping the ball, is legitimately good. We still have James Washington around, so we don't need a receiver here in this draft. What we need is offensive lineman, whether that's interior offensive lineman with a guard or a tackle. And I'm looking at it right now. We got 2 centers in Creed Humphrey and Land Dickerson. And again, that comes down to if Pouncey retires, we can get one of those guys, but we're not going to take them in the first round. That's a second round type of selection. I'm not against Wyatt Davis, but he's more of a mauler. He's more of a run game kind of guy. Pittsburgh doesn't have that run game philosophy right now. You really need to have guys who can pass block primarily, especially with Ben right now. Especially with the way Ben is, you have to have primarily pass blocking offensive linemen. Elijah Vera Tucker from USC is intriguing because he started at left tackle for USC last year. He's projected to be a guard at the NFL level. I really don't I would love to take him here because I think he probably is the best offensive lineman on the board. I'll go look at the tackles next, but I'm almost positive AVT will be the best offensive lineman left at this point. The issue is that I think there's still an opportunity to re-sign Matt Filer out of all the guys who are free agents. I think he's probably the most likely to re-sign, at least on the offensive side of the ball. And if you get him and if you leave him at guard, there's no reason to draft a guard because you're still going to have to cash from the other side. However, you could also say draft a guard here and kick, if you re-sign Filer, then kick him back out to right tackle. I think that would be the move, really, if we're looking at it here. And tackles make more money than guards generally, so I think he would want to play a tackle for the next contract, or he'd leverage that to make more money. But looking at the tackles, you know what? This is not a bad group of tackles to have left available. All right, Jalen Mayfield from Michigan, Tevin Jenkins, Liam Eichenberg, Alex Leatherwood. I think Leatherwood probably will fall to the second round, but I know some people have had him locked in the first round recently. I think all three of these guys are going to go in the first round. All three of them are going in the first round in my upcoming mock draft, which we'll have out at some point, probably early next week. Mayfield is the highest ranked one here by the Draft Network, but I like the fit of Tevin Jenkins or Liam Eichenberg more for Pittsburgh. And it's coming down to those two or Vera Tucker, and I'm going to go Tevin Jenkins right now. He's been a riser here in the past couple of weeks. Was not this high originally, but he's really come up here. And I'm going to give him a shot here for Pittsburgh. Take him at 24, and we'll go on from there. You can see Jalen Mayfield goes immediately afterwards. Zayvon Collins, Elijah Vera Tucker. So everyone we were looking at. And I'm going to avoid doing any trades for this first mock, but again, we'll throw those in later. And now we'll surely shake things up and make it interesting for the rest of the night. I'm always shocked by how many trades pop up with this thing. I wonder just how active the phone lines are for actual NFL GMs. Like, that's one thing I would like to experience, just how active the phone lines are. How many calls do you get? How many offers do you get? Surely it can't be this many. It's probably a good amount. Probably more than we realize. All right, so we're back on the board here. Carmen Jackson, right tackle from Clemson. Just something to keep an eye on. I'm not saying that's where we're going right now, but just something to keep an eye on. Javonte Williams, I mean, yes, I do really like Javonte Williams. I think he's the third best running back in this class behind, obviously, Travis Etienne and Najee Harris. And if we're doing a big board of the top players in the draft, I really think Javonte Williams is a top 30 player. I think he could be a top 20 player, honestly, in terms of talent. It's just that the difference in talent between Williams and Najee Harris and Etienne is pretty advanced. That's because Etienne and Harris are top 10 players in this draft, and Williams is someone you'll probably find between maybe 17 to 25, somewhere in that range. And that's not to say he's a bad player. This guy, I'm saying, is worth a first-round pick in terms of pure talent, but you won't get a running back like Williams drafted in the first round because comparatively he's nowhere near where Etienne and Najee Harris are right now, and also because running backs just aren't valued as first-round picks. Well, I do think this guy is a top 30, I mean, like I said, potentially even a top 20 talent in this draft. So it would be hard to turn him down this spot, especially because we don't know if we'll get him in later drafts. And even look at the Draft Network rankings here. They have him at 35. I have him higher on my personal big board. Pittsburgh picking 56. So this would ideally be very good value for this player. The issue we run into, though, is you can't really run the ball without an offensive line. And like we said, we need 2 or 3 stars coming out of this draft. So let's look at who's available. And both of the starting centers are gone. That's not great. I was hoping to get one of them. Yeah, we're probably going to have to go running back here. We're probably going to have to go running back. I mean, there is a chance with Deontay Brown. There's a chance. I do like the size he has. He's extremely powerful. So I've looked at Deontay Brown held in before, and I've taken him before, but I just don't know like this high in the second round. This is like the perfect situation where he traded back from this pick to get Deontay Brown. That would be great. It's just that this guy would probably be better in a run-heavy offense or a more run-heavy offense. It just wouldn't work for what Pittsburgh's trying to do right now, I don't think. And looking at the interior offensive lineman, I'm not overwhelmed by any of the guys they have available. And looking at offensive tackles again, I'm not seeing a great fit here, and I'm not entirely feeling what they have available. That's kind of disappointing. I'm sorry if I check my phone here every now once in a while, but my friends have been going off about this whole will Carson Wentz get traded thing. Is Carson Wentz going to Indy? Is he going to Chicago? It's going back and forth. So there are a lot of Philly fans. If you've been on this channel, you know we've had them on a couple of times to talk about the Philadelphia Eagles. So they're going off in chat right now. I just got to keep a little bit of an eye on them to see what's going on because I'm interested too. I don't want to miss the news and be the last one in on the discussion. So looking elsewhere on the board, I'm really disappointed, actually. I really am disappointed. I thought we could get more out of this selection, but I guess not. Javonte Williams it is. And I'm not disappointed in that pick necessarily. I just wanted to get two starting offensive linemen in the first two rounds. We just couldn't get that based on how this board broke. There's Deontay Brown. I would take I'd be willing to take Deontay Brown in the third round, even if he's not necessarily the perfect fit for the team, just because that's good value for a third rounder. I don't think you would get that. Oh boy, this is not great. I mean, Walker Little, I think is ranked a little low here. And the issue is, again, it's the left tackle. You don't want to double up on the left tackles. You could kick him to right tackle. I'd be willing to kick him to right tackle, honestly. But the question is, does he want to make that transition? Is he willing to do that? And at this point, like Michael Carter is still on the board here from North Carolina, the other North Carolina running back. I would have ideally taken starting offensive lineman in the first round, starting offensive lineman in the second round, Michael Carter in the third round. That's what I'm trying to do. But there really was not an offensive lineman that fit what we were trying to do in Pittsburgh available on the board. And this is what you end up with now, where it's Walker Little. You can double up at left tackles and move one to right. Or you could go somewhere else and basically end up knowing you're going to have a deficiency along the offensive line that you're going to have to fill with veteran free agents. I don't really want to do that because the draft is a crapshoot to begin with. The draft is basically betting on the futures of a bunch of young guys. But free agency is also not an exact science. There's also a lot of problems there. So I'm going to look around. See, we have Amari Rodgers from Clemson's there. I really like Omari. I think he's going to be a very good player in the NFL. But I think he'll be more similar to like a Hunter Renfrow kind of guy in the sense that fourth or fifth round pick is going to be worth anywhere between 450 to 650, maybe 700 yards per year, but never going to be like a star player. You have to accept that he's going to be a slot kind of guy who's going to get you almost guaranteed yards at points in time. So he's going to be a go-to target, but he's never going to be the blow you away kind of guy with ridiculous numbers. He's going to have some good plays, though. I really think he'll make it in the NFL. So he's a player I think people need to keep their eyes on. I also think Cornell Powell, the other Clemson receiver that's going out right now, he's gonna have a chance to actually maybe reach higher heights or greater heights than Amari Rodgers, just because of how he would work in the NFL system. Think about a Nelson Aguilar. Think about what Nelson Aguilar did for the Raiders this year. I think Powell will do something similar for the team that drafts him in the NFL. We are really, really not. I'm not liking this whatsoever. I didn't really look at the tight ends, to be honest. I didn't scout to the tight ends that much for this draft because I didn't think Pittsburgh was going to take one. But Tommy Tremble's out there. Quincy Roche. I really don't want to draft Quincy Roche. It's nothing against him. Just I know there's a bunch of question marks there in terms of not off the field stuff, but on the field, like the best competition he's played against, he hasn't necessarily thrived against. So I'm a little concerned there. Oh, this is going to be Elijah Molden, isn't it? This is going to be Elijah Molden because in a situation where Pittsburgh is unable to resign, starting caliber NFL slot corner. In the situation where Pittsburgh is unable to resign to Cam Sutton or Mike Hilton, they will need a replacement, and this is the replacement. So we'll rate it around here, see what we can get in round number 4. I do admit that was somewhat of a disappointment the way this draft is breaking out. I thought we were going to get more in the first 2 rounds, at least value-wise, than we did. And I really think now looking at it, I could have passed on a running back in the second round and tried to go somewhere else. I just didn't really know where I wanted to go. His Gank Gamble is going to be pretty good. He's a good receiving back. He does a little bit of everything. Trey Sermon's down here, and it's just a question with Trey Sermon, do you buy into the hype of the basically 1-year production at Ohio State, where he was producing for the final few games? Chuba Hubbard is down here. He kind of fell off. His draft stock really fell off the past year. I'm not a big believer in Hubbard, and that's nothing against him. I just think that there are running backs that are more fit for the league right now that I would rather have. Looking down this list, there's a bunch of good safeties available, a bunch of decent safeties I can buy into. I don't know, man. We're at a point in this draft where this has kind of gotten a little scuffed here. I'm not sure where I want to buy in. All right, let's start looking at positions. Quarterback, Kellen Mond, not really worth looking into that. Running back, we already picked one. We don't need one of those. Receiver, I would be willing to pick Daz Newsome here. I would be willing to go with Daz. For the sake that I believe in Daz Newsome quite a bit. James Hudson is someone I've heard a lot about recently. And I think I might pick him here. I understand that system-wise it might not be the perfect fit and all that stuff, but I've heard a lot about him potentially being a developmental piece that could turn into a starting player maybe, or could be like a swing tackle, like a fifth offensive lineman kind of guy who comes in every now and then. And you do need those players in the NFL because there are guys who are going to get hurt inevitably, and you're going to need to have guys capable of coming in, replacing them at any given point during the season. So I am intrigued here. So James Hudson, marking down. James Hudson's a guy I'm looking at. Anyone else here want to jump off the page? It's very hard drafting interior linemen. I think anywhere past the third round for interior linemen, it's where some guys fit, but not necessarily where guys stand out. You're going to get guys who will play for you, but not necessarily be contributors in their first 2 or 3 years. In Pittsburgh right now, if Ben comes back, you're basically saying we're still trying to win now. So you don't necessarily want to be taking interior linemen this late in the draft. I'm surprised that Jalen Twyman's this far down. I understand that the hype train for him is really slow now. It's kind of gone the opposite direction. I still like him a lot. This is one of my favorite guys in the draft. Not necessarily saying he's going to be a stud. I don't think he is a top 40 or 50 player in this draft, but I do like him a lot. I'm allowed to like players that have personal favorites. And him and Daz Newsome are 2 of them. So that's something to keep an eye on there. Rashad Weaver's available. That wouldn't be bad here. Although I do like Alex Highsmith. Alex Highsmith, I think, will film for Bud Dupree flying. He might not get as many sacks as Bud Dupree, but he's going to still be a productive player that will benefit, obviously, from playing alongside Cameron Hayward and T.J. Watt. I think he'll do well with a full offseason worth of training, and he'll get to a point where, he will be able to replace Bud Dupree in some sense, not necessarily in the full sense. It's not going to be you don't think you're going to get back to the full level Bud Dupree was playing in the past 2 years. It's just not going to happen that quickly for Alex Highsmith. Again, Bud Dupree was a first-round pick who had like 3 or 4 years to get to the point where he is now. You're not going to see that happen immediately with a guy like Alex Highsmith, who was a mid-round selection. And that's fine. You have to be patient there. So I don't think there's really a need to target the edge, per se, in this draft, which is something I'm glad to see. Although I do think depth could be an issue there. I mean, we saw this past year when Dupree goes down, you have an answer per se in Highsmith, but it's not like he was fully ready to go out there and compete immediately. I don't think he was the kind of guy who was set up to succeed because you would plan on using him rotationally, I assume, getting him on the field a little bit here and there, but never on fully putting him in there for every single play for the remainder of the year. So that, in some sense, was a problem. That kind of slowed Pittsburgh down this past season and put Highsmith at a bit of a disadvantage. But we're looking at here again, I'm going to go with Taz Newsome. I know it's probably not the best pick because we do need some help on the interior defensive line. I don't know. This comes down to how much you believe in James Washington. If you believe a lot in James Washington, you don't need to draft a receiver here. I guess I'm going to believe in James Washington. You know what? I'm going to switch my pick up here. I'm going to go with Jalen Twyman here. Welcome to the team. Pittsburgh player, so gets to stay around, hang around in Pennsylvania. We pick again here. I wasn't paying attention who got picked. Daz Newsome, he did. Oh, so done. I was hoping to get him. I was hoping to still sneak in there and double dip and get both of them. I wasn't thinking about that. I might have been able to get Twyman had I picked Daz first and then let it go. But I think we also have James Hudson off the board, James Wiggins as well. Those are two guys I was looking at. Oh, boy. All right, let's see what we got left. This board's looking more and more picked over. I feel like this is right around the 5th round for me is when I start to struggle a little bit more with my evaluation because I get to know a lot of guys, or I get to see a lot of guys higher up in the class. Obviously, Cornell Powell, I know much more about because I have to see him play in person. But at some point, right around the 5th round for me is when I start to know a little less about the players and things. I watch more NFL football than college football. And I've always said the NFL is my passion, and college football is kind of like a hobby in a sense for me. I watch college football to get to see the best players coming up and coming out into the league, so I know what we're looking at here, so I can do this draft stuff, but that only goes so far, and eventually you kind of run to the barrier for where you don't know as much. But we're here now. Pittsburgh still needs offensive linemen. We've taken a tackle. We really need interior linemen still. And that's a long way to reach for Tommy Kramer. And I saw him play. I get to see him play too because he plays for Notre Dame. I'm a Clemson fan. I went to Clemson. I don't know. I don't like it. I'm not going to like any of these picks down here, though. I'm not going to want to spend any of these picks on an offensive lineman. But you might just have to reach here. I really don't want to do that. I really don't. What about tight end? That would be a reach too. We're in a bad spot here because our needs don't line up. We've already taken a run back. We've already taken interior defensive lineman. I've already said I don't want to go edge here, especially not in the 4th round, but we do need some depth there. Highsmith kind of was our depth guy this past year, and now he's starting. We've already taken a corner. I'm okay with Terrell Evans right now at safety. I don't think we need our safety at this point. I'm going to go with Shaka Toney. I know a little bit about him from his days in Penn State, and not a perfect fit here, obviously. There are going to be issues. But I think you bring him in, have him as pass rush specialist, have him as a rotational player, give some guys some rest sometimes, and use him as an outside linebacker. I think that's good enough. He's not going to be a full-time contributor, I don't think. It's not as good of a pick as Alex Highsmith was last year. But, I mean, at this point, look what we're working with here. I could go safety. I think there will still be some safeties available at our next pick, though. So, Shaka Toney. It was very disappointing, obviously, how this past season ended for Pittsburgh. Okay, let's get past Cleveland, although I knew he had issues. I will wonder if we'd had played Cleveland at full strength in Week 17, would that have made a difference? I don't know. I don't think any of us can know. But I do wish we had gotten the opportunity to know. Obviously, built up ahead of steam against the Indianapolis Colts and then just never recovered from that poor start with the Marquise Pouncey snap. And the defense was beat up at that point. We had lost Bud Dupree already. We had lost Joe Hayden. I forget. Joe Hayden, I don't think, played in that game. Or one of our corners didn't play in that game. And then Devin Bush wasn't there, obviously. Vince Williamson beat up all year as well. So tough year and a career year for Stephon Tuitt. Cam Hayward still playing good. TJ Watt should win Defensive Player of the Year. I'm hoping he wins Defensive Player of the Year. That would make this loss a little bit easier to deal with. But you never know. I can't wait for the people to start questioning whether Mike Tomlin should have a job next year. Obviously, Mike Tomlin is the best person to coach the Steelers team. I don't think it's even close. Mike Tomlin's the only guy who will be fit to coach this Pittsburgh Steelers team right now because of the relationships he's already developed with the players, because of the issues that have gone on in the locker room the past couple of years, but what Tomlin's overcome, the way the roster is right now. I understand they're going to eventually probably want a younger guy, even though Tomlin's actually still pretty young for head coaching status because of when he started. But I do think there's going to be a situation where they'll replace him in the near future, in the next couple of years, because they're going to be almost completely rebuilding everything. I'm sorry if I tabbed out there for a minute. I had to submit something for editing a review for someone else just because he can't do the job for himself, so he needs me to do it for him. But I do think there's going to be a time where they replace Mike Tomlin. I'm not going to like it when it happens. It's just going to have to happen because the team is getting to the point where offensive line's really old. Then it will be Cameron Hayward that's going to get older. And you're going to start seeing that it's just never going to line up to the point where everyone is healthy or everyone is in their primes at the same time. Because I think Cam Hayward's getting up there. I already talked about the Castro. So there's going to be a situation inevitably where Pittsburgh starts to slow down, and you're going to probably have to get a new head coach. Now, I'm not going to like that, but that's going to have to happen here probably the next 3 or 4 years. And I've said the same thing. Pittsburgh is at the same point that the Atlanta Falcons are right now, except Pittsburgh has TJ Watt, and that's the difference. That's the difference separating Pittsburgh and Atlanta. Pittsburgh has TJ Watt. But the Atlanta Falcons, Pittsburgh Steelers, these are declining teams right now that probably won't win again with their current quarterbacks. And Atlanta has already made the coaching change. Pittsburgh hasn't, and I really hope they don't. I hope Mike Tomlin's able to stick around for the next wave of guys. Because I think Mike Tomlin is a top 10 head coach in the NFL. And if you fire Mike Tomlin, I cannot guarantee that you're going to get anyone better than him. I think we all recognize that. So I hope Mike Tomlin sticks around. And looking at what we've drafted so far, this has been more of a defensive draft than I initially intended it to be, but that's just how the things kind of broke this time around, which is unfortunate. I was hoping to be more of an offensive draft. Hey there, good to see you, gaming with Gio. I hope I'm saying your name right. Hey Sam, let's go St. Bonaventure. Let's go Steelers. Yeah, I gotta admit to you, I didn't actually go to St. Bonaventure, but I did go there for a visit one time. It was actually very nice. Apart from it being very cold at the time that I went, that was my poor decision making there. St. Bonaventure is in upstate New York. It's got a very nice campus, obviously, but I don't think at the time I went there for the visit, they didn't have a football team. I don't know if they've changed that or not. They did have a rugby team. I made sure to mention that. And obviously they have a very proud history with the basketball program that they have. So St. Bonaventure, by the way, it was great school. It's a great journalism school. I'm really happy I got a chance to visit there. It just that wasn't for me. And obviously go Pittsburgh Steelers. I'm hoping that we can get something going this season, maybe recapture some of the early season magic we had and at least put on a good run and hopefully just beat Cleveland next year. I don't want this all to end with us losing Cleveland in the playoffs. That would be a terrible way for this to go down. But looking around, looking what's left on this draft board now, getting back to this draft, I've been sitting here talking for like 6 or 7 minutes straight without actually drafting the guy. What do we have? Mostly wide receivers and corners. Again, I'm not too impressed. I hate it when this happens. Wide receivers and corners. Did Cornell Powell go already? If I was paying attention, I would know this. Yeah, he did. Shoot. That's someone who would have been a good value here in the 5th round. That's 6th round. All right. We can't get too picky at this point. It's the 6th round. Mustafa Johnson's kind of been one of the go-to guys that I've gone to in the past year, just to pick up. But I understand there's concerns with everyone at this point. I mean, we're talking about 6th round players. There are going to be concerns and red flags or yellow flags, however you want to describe it, with all of these guys. Looking through it. How big is Jalen Moore? Does he have the size to play? Development to late round offensive tackle, zone blocking scheme. The hell with it. We'll take him. I was hoping to get more than one tackle. I was hoping to get tackle, like I said, an interior offensive player early on. And that just didn't work out. This has been a bad draft. This is probably one of my worst Pittsburgh Steelers drafts in the past couple of months, honestly. I do mean months. Just didn't break the way I wanted to early on. Yeah, I understand why it's so difficult now for coaches and executives to make these kind of decisions. It didn't go nearly as well as I thought it was going to. And now we're stuck here trying to decide if we want to take wide receivers and corners in the 6th round when we don't need them. Yeah. This is not what I thought was going to happen. Let me at least see if there are any guys that I personally have watched a lot of that I think could work out in the NFL. Let me see if at least some of those guys maybe sticking around here towards the end of the draft. So I think everyone has their favorite players or their prospects that they believe in when no one else does. Everyone has their guys going into the draft. And I think most of mine are gone already looking at the board. Aaron Jackson, he's still around. Look at that. We're picked 224. He's prospect ranked 224. Match made in heaven. Let's go with it. He's from Coastal Carolina, one of their better players, obviously, but he played more of a defensive end composition there. He's going to be like an outside linebacker in the NFL. He just doesn't have the size to play the traditional defensive end spot. So there's obviously going to be an adjustment period for him there. And I don't like the fact that we took two edge guys this draft. That was not the intention, obviously. But this is kind of where we're at right now. Quarterbacks looking pretty picked over. You could probably get any one of those guys after the draft to sign the practice squads if you really wanted one of them. Tight end positions picked over. I would have liked to have gotten one of those guys. I probably had the opportunity to earlier. I just passed it over. At this point, when you get this late in the draft, generally, the best players to take are wide receivers or defensive backs. So I feel like, or running backs. I think those 3 positions are the ones with the most likely probability to hit. Granted, you also miss those quite a bit as well. So there's a lot of back and forth on what you should do here in these kind of positions. I am going to go with the best corner available, which is Marco Wilson. This is the guy, by the way, who cost Florida their chance at the college football playoffs. He's the guy who threw the shoe and got penalized, and that put Florida, and that basically put Florida, ended up losing Florida the game. They had the defense stop. He's the guy who chucked the shoe downfield. Now, one of the most infamous ways to lose a football game. We'll take him, though, and hopefully his attitude will improve. And if he's smart, he'll never throw a shoe again. Or he'll be cut. Because 7th round picks don't get to make those kind of mistakes. Looking at linebacker, this position is also fairly picked over. I mean, they all are at this point. We're talking about the 7th round. Just look for productive players. If I can even see guys who I know have made or have had 100 tackle seasons, guys who have had incredible seasons in college football, even if it's against lesser competition, sometimes just knowing that guys can produce is enough to get their foot in the doors here at the NFL level. All right, I think this is our final pick, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, there it is. 256 also right there. So our final pick. Forget if he declared or not. Yes, he did. For Lindsay Dixon. Clemson running back up to Travis Etienne. Highly underrated. Just didn't get a lot of carries this year. And I'm doing too much thinking. We're only one mock draft in. I spent about 35 minutes on this thing. Jeez, man. I'm rambling tonight. I've got a lot of energy tonight, even if it doesn't look like it. Oren Jackson from Colorado State, 6'6". I like the size. That's why I picked this guy in the past. I'm willing to take a bet on a 6'6", 215 wide receiver in the 7th round. Why not? All right, this is our draft. Tevin Jenkins in the 1st round. Love that pick. Javonte Williams in the 2nd round. Love the player. Not a fan of the selection necessarily. 3rd round, Elijah Molden. Good pick considering the fact that Cam Sutton and Mike Hilton are free agents or pending free agents. Dalen Twyman at pick 128. Love the player. Not necessarily sure how he's going to turn out at the NFL level. But like I said, love the player. He's one of my guys in this draft. Shaka Toney from Penn State. He's up next. That's good depth at the very least for the edge position. Jalen Moore just taking offensive tackles. I feel like we needed more offensive linemen taking this draft than I actually got. Probably my biggest shortcoming in this draft was not taking an interior offensive lineman or a center guard somewhere in there. Taron Jackson, another guy who I have faith in, despite him being a little undersized here. Very productive at Coastal Carolina, and obviously they're coming off a monster season in their program. Marco Wilson, the shoe thrower. That's how I was going to remember right now. And Warren Jackson, big body wide receiver, who hopefully, the size he has will still be able to accomplish something, and it's worth taking a risk on a guy like that in the 7th round. Because let's be honest, how many 7th rounders do you know going to be becoming immediate contributors on our team? Not many. So you might as well pick a guy with the developmental size to come in and make an immediate impact or come in and be something special. All right, so I have taken a screenshot of that. I will post that on Twitter, my Twitter page later. By the way, link to my Twitter. It's in the description of this stream, and I see that there's one person watching, so I know you're there on YouTube. I see you. I have no idea who you are. Name gets Gaming with Geo. I'm hoping I'm saying your name right, but thank you for watching. I'm going to not say this one, but I'm going to restart a draft. And this time I'm going to use trades. And see if we can't shake this up and make this a little more interesting. See how this works out. Because Pittsburgh's in a very interesting situation. And we start it right up. I'm hoping this draft breaks better than this last one. It didn't work out great for me. I'm looking at here. Minnesota called me last time. Oh, they want me to trade up to 14? Why would I want to trade up to 14? I forget. Can I see the board here? I forget. There was a way to do it. I've seen them on stream. Go back and access the board while in this menu. So I know it's possible. Yeah, let's go on. Whatever. I think it would have cost too much to trade up. Pittsburgh barely ever trades up. I don't think it would have been worth trading up in this kind of position. And again, I can't see the board, so I don't know. I don't know if I should be taking this or not. Kansas City is offering me 1st and 2nd. Buffalo 1st and 3rd. And what the heck is this from New York? All right, so there's one possible trade here. Do we want to go all the way back to 32nd? I don't think so. I don't think you want to go back all the way to number 32 because that's just too far a drop here, considering the players who are on the board. And it's basically the same guys as last time. It's close to the same guys as last time. I'm starting to wonder if I should have taken that trade or not now, because this is going to be the same guys. It's going to break the same way as it did last time. I don't want to be left on the wrong side of things like it was the previous time around. So looking at it, interior offensive lineman, ABT still there, offensive tackles, Mayfield, Tevin Jenkins, Liam Eichenberg. I took Tevin Jenkins last time, so let's shake it up a little bit. Let's do something a little unpredictable here. We're going with Vera Tucker. This guy played left tackle in college. Is projected as guard. Pittsburgh, with Filer leaving in free agency, will need a guard. And you know what? At best, maybe he gets thrown out to tackle at some point, right or left, and does well. I think this is a guy, because of his potential to start at the very least 4 positions along the offensive line, is going to get a lot of looks, and he's got incredible athleticism to boot. So I think this is a guy who it's worth taking a pick here. It's worth taking this risk that he only turns into a guard, because at worst he's going to be a starting NFL guard, and at best he'll be a starting left tackle. So I think it's worth taking a risk here because you're not gonna miss on this guy. He's one of my can't miss prospects, even though he's going to fall into the 20s of this first round, which is something that's rare. You don't get those kind of offers very often. Let's see. They want a second, third, and fourth to trade up to 36. I can't see the board, and that's driving me crazy, but I'm going to take this. I'm going to take this and hope that some of the guys I want are there. Creed Humphrey and Landon Dixon are there. All right, we've got interior offensive linemen. What about tackles? Tevin Jenkins is there. Okay, this was worth it. We've got centers and we've got a tackle. Like, we're going to go Tevin Jenkins here and keep AVT at guard. Had I known this would pop up, I think I might have gone tackle first round and then taken center here second. I might have gone Tevin Jenkins in the first and then taken Landon Dickerson here. But you know what? This is still not the worst way this could turn out. The main objective here for me is getting 2 offensive linemen in the first 2 rounds. Getting an offensive lineman and getting 2 guys who can start basically right away. 1 net tackle and 1 on the interior. That's all I want in the first 2 rounds for Pittsburgh, is to get someone on that level. And we have accomplished that. Tevin Jenkins in the second round. So I'm taking Tevin Jenkins either way here, but I'm just glad he was available in the second round. I didn't know if I was going to get that or not. Some breaking news here I just got from Tom Pelissero, and this is old at this point. It's been out there for a little while. It's about 14 minutes old. The Saints have renegotiated Drew Brees' contract to drop his base salary in 2021 to the minimum per source. This allows them to carry him on the roster past June 1st and drastically reduce his 2021 cap hit, presuming he retires. So basically what's going to happen is he's going to stick around on their roster till after June 1st. And if you don't know how it works, after June 1st, it's hard to explain, but how it works is after June 1st, the salary that would be handed out yearly and like bonus money, that kind of stuff, gets pushed away in a sense that lessens the impact of a guy who gets retired or a guy who retires or a guy who's cut or a guy who's traded. It's significantly less after June 1st. So the Saints are going to keep Drew Brees on the roster until after June 1st to cut his cap hit down significantly. And there's even things that allow you to designate guys who are still on your roster with a post-June 1st or a June 1st cut. And you can do that for 2 guys. It doesn't have to be June 1st. You can do it in March. You could do it now in February and say, we're going to designate this guy with a June 1st release. Basically to say, look, we're going to act as though we would keep him on the roster until June 1st because we know that if we did that, it would save him a lot. It would save us a lot of money. And by doing so, we can let him hit free agency sooner and test the waters earlier. Another trade, this one from Atlanta. I think that's the team we just traded with. Pick 87 for 108, 224, and a 7th in 2020. Where are we picking next? 108? So that's our next pick. Jumping up over 20 spots. I'm going to do this one as well. So I think there's a chance here that we have some really good players left on the board. All right, this is looking at offensive linemen or offensive tackles. All right, there are some good players left on the board. Elijah Moore, wide receiver. Hunter Long, tight end. Jabril Cox, linebacker, is a very important one. Walker Little's there, but we don't need him because we already dealt with that. Amari Rogers, what's the running back position look like? Michael Carter is there. Yes, let's go. All right, I'm excited now. This has been what we need. This has been exactly what I was hoping the last draft would be. Trades have made this so much more interesting, so much more funny. All right, we've gotten what I wanted. We've now got the 2 offensive linemen in Tevin Jenkins and Elijah Vera Tucker. And now we're getting the running back. Like with Carter's joining the roster. I understand that I could potentially wait here. I could sit on this. I could get Kenneth Gainwell eventually. Well, not now because I traded away pick 104 or 108, whatever it was, to get to this point. So I wouldn't be getting Kenneth Gainwell. But I understand that I could have gotten a guy like Hawkins later who's pretty good. I have nothing against Hawkins. Hill's decent. Williams good. Jared Patterson, that's the guy from Buffalo that had 300 rushing yards in a game or something like that. Even Khalil Herbert for Virginia Tech was highly productive in college, but you have to remember that a lot of very productive running backs in college do not translate to the NFL. They just don't. And that's unfortunate because running backs are it's one of the most fun positions to watch at both levels, I believe, but especially in college football. I think there's an extra level of prominence to it in college football because, unlike in the NFL, where we understand that the position is somewhat declining in importance, unlike that in college football, it's still very prominent and it's still treated as such. And there's certain teams that literally, like Boston College for years. Boston College is obviously different now because of the quarterback they have. I forget his name. It's Pete something. It was hard. I messed it up once or twice. But the quarterback they have now at Boston College lets them throw the ball a lot more. But schools like Boston College and Wisconsin, for most of my life, have been schools that will run the ball primarily and run to set up the pass, but they will barely pass. They won't pass in key situations. They will run the ball. So I think running back in college football is much more a prominent position than the NFL. And it's unfortunate. But a lot of guys like Trey Sermon, who had really good stretch there for Ohio State the last couple of games of the season. Kenneth Gainwell from Memphis, who can do a little bit of everything, who might be a top 5 running back in this class. I just don't know. I would feel much safer taking the UNC products and taking Najee Harris and Travis Etienne than Kenneth Gainwell, who I think is good, but I'm not as sold on. Chuba Hubbard obviously was very productive in 2019, not nearly as much as past year, but we'll just go ahead and wrap this up. Take Michael Carter. And I don't know when I pick it now because of the trades we had here. I think we had 2 trades with Atlanta. Jabril Cox, by the way, and Elijah Moore, 2 guys who are looking at seriously there. And Elijah Moore would have been very good value at the spot. And there's some safeties down here too. This is a safety here. I'm not going to try to pronounce his name. I won't butcher it because I know I will. But I was looking at him a lot too. He's one of my guys as well. He's one of the guys that I really like in this draft. What do they want? They want basically our 6th, 7th. So we're trading it to get 2 fourths and basically forfeiting our late round selections. Well, I've taken every trade so far that I've really been offered, and it's worked out well, so I'll take this one. And all the running backs I was just talking about are still here. And we pick again at 140. That's important to note. So we do have at least one more selection here. I don't know if we have a 5th round pick. I'm just going to scroll to the end here and see if I can spot us, because if not, we need to hit on these 2. We need to do pretty good. And I need to not be worried about reaching out. We don't have another one. I need to not worry about reaching here because this is essentially our 4th, 5th, and 6th round picks and 7th round picks here. So I'm going to reach a little bit potentially at the spot just because they feel comfortable doing so, because I've already given them so much. Why couldn't we have just look at these 3 receivers here? Seth Williams, Sage Surratt, Daz Newsome. I would have loved to have traded up just in time to get one of those guys. All right, what we got? Jalen Twyman again. That's another one that's popping up. James Wiggins at safety. That's another guy I really like. Rashad Weaver as well. Shaka Tony's here. Hawkins, Shi Smith. I know a lot of people like Shi Smith. There are a bunch of guys here who Cornell Powell. There's a bunch of question marks at wide receiver this year in this draft. It's very iffy. Even guys like Kadarius Toney, who people are now accepting is going to be a guy who's going to go probably somewhere between 15 and 25. There are still a lot of questions about his ability to play at the NFL level. So there are a lot of questions at this point for the wide receiver class. And last year's group didn't really face him. I felt like we had 10 solid wide receiver prospects in last year's draft. I think we might have 5 this year. It's much different. And there's not nearly as much high-end talent later in the draft as there was last year at the wide receiver spot specifically. All right, these are our picks. What do we need? We do need a corner. Because we're probably going to lose at least one free agency, so I want to have someone who can take over. Williams, I know him a little bit. This is a guy who I've looked at multiple times. I do like him. And again, I'm going to screw the name up, so I'm just going to call him Nowhere and hope I'm saying that last name right. I do like him. I'm going to go Darius Williams here just because TDN has a gap there. I don't think it's that big of a gap in real life, but I will admit there's a gap. So I'm going to go Rodarius Williams here, and hope that kind of works out. I hope that kind of pairs and finishes up this draft nicely. All right, one more pick. I kind of would have liked to. You know what I should have done? I should have gone Jalen Twyman there and then tried to get. See, these are things that I'm sitting here spending 7 or 8 minutes doing this mock draft about. I'm not thinking about, but general managers have to be thinking about all the time. This is why, as the moment, this is why general managers spend months looking at this kind of stuff, and me sitting my butt down here doing a couple minutes trying to pan this stuff out. It is completely lost and making tons of mistakes. But I am still looking at Wiggins, honestly. I'm still looking at James Wiggins here because I'm going to pull up their depth chart here. You're not going to see it, but I'm pulling it up in our tab. Terrell Evans, Sean Davis, obviously Sean Davis and Jordan Dangerfield. We did take Antoine Brooks Jr. That's true. I forgot about him last year because he didn't play at all this year. But James Wiggins would be my ideal pick here in this draft. I just don't think we need a safety that much because of the guys that we spent draft picks on recently and the guys we've given contracts to in the past couple of years. Interior defensive line, I don't think there's going to be a guy worth taking here. I did say I could reach in the spots. I did give myself a little wiggle room saying I was going to give myself permission to reach. I don't even think it's worth a reach for some of those guys. Cornell Powell would be an interesting one here, but he's basically would play a similar role to James Washington, though, and that doesn't really make sense to have both those guys on the roster. At least to me. I could be wrong. Wouldn't be the first time. And probably not the last. Looking at linebackers as well, because there were some injuries. There are some injury concerns there. It's weird because, guys will come out. Guys you don't expect. Like guys like Darian Kendrick, who was cornerback at Clemson, is going back to school for another year. I would have expected him to come out to the NFL draft because he was projected to be a late first round or early second round pick. And usually you don't go much higher than that. Obviously, he came out in half a nominal year. He'd be, maybe a top 15 guy for like an AJ Terrell. But the chances of that happening are very unlikely. To me, he's more in the Trayvon Mullen kind of range as a prospect. Trayvon Mullen, former Clemson cornerback, who was a second round pick. So I was surprised when Kendrick decided to go back for another year. A bunch of Clemson guys decided to go back for another year, which doesn't shock me when it's a guy like James Skalski, who probably is going to be an undrafted free agent. That doesn't shock me. But when someone like Darian Kendrick was going to be a top 40 selection, that is kind of surprising. All right, what am I battling for? I'm going to take an edge rusher here because it's probably the best value Rashad Weaver's here. This is probably the best I'm going to get. But his scheme fits a base 4-3. That's right. Yeah, I'm not gonna Clemson. Pittsburgh's not running that. No shot with neither outside linebackers out there. Why not front? I don't. You're not gonna find an ideal fit. It's just not possible. For the edge spot, I embraced that. I kind of recognize that, but looking at it, it's still disappointing. There are a bunch of guys in college football who also can't diversify from their schemes. They're kind of locked into what they're playing in college football, and they can't really get out of that. I've seen that happen a couple times with guys who try to make the jump to the NFL level, and I'm really tempted to just take wide receiver, partially because I know more about the receivers, but also because there are some good guys here. Like Shi Smith is someone who I would consider taking. Mustafa Johnson, someone I know a little bit about, but again, that's a little bit of a reach. Well, you know what? I would have said Stephon too. It would have been more of a 4-3 defensive end anyways. He's thrived for Pittsburgh. Rashad Weaver, if he has the size, 265, 6'4". I want to look at Stephon Tuitt real quick. Not saying that these guys are comparable anyways. They're really not. I do want to look at the size to see if Weaver could have the build to fit. Dude, it's 303 pounds. Yeah. No, he's built more like a defensive tackle. It's basically like running two guys on the outside. Cam Hayward's basically playing like almost like a nose tackle, defensive tackle role, and he got Stephon Tuitt in there. Well, Cameron Hayes, defensive tackle, Stephon Tuitt, defensive end. And technically, you run a nose tackle with that group as well. Those are your three interior guys. And you have Bud Dupree, Watt on the outside. Now it's going to be Highsmith opposite of Watt, with Williams and Devin Bush in the middle. So essentially, you need those three guys in the middle, Hayward, Tuitt. Your nose tackle will be right around 300 pounds if you're going to stick at the position. And at 265, probably a little much for an outside linebacker. And if you were a rotational pass rusher, chances are you're not going to be good in pass coverage, which TJ Watt has been asked to drop back and play pass coverage. So I'm going to go with Shi Smith here just because value, and there is potential here. I do think Shi Smith will make an impact from the slot. And Deontay Johnson plays a lot of slot as well. But I think you have Chase Claypool on the outside. You can move Deontay Johnson outside because you can do outside and the slot. And have Shi Smith add a little more depth to the receiving group there. And you can see James Wiggins goes to Jacksonville. I would actually love that fit. If I'm Jacksonville, I can get James Wiggins. That's a starting safety in the 5th round. That'd be a phenomenal grab. I don't really want to give up anything to trade back into the drafts because there's not many guys who are game-breaking, game-changing dudes left on the board, if any. So we're just going to let this all play out. Dang, we're going on an hour? All right. I've really wasted a lot more time talking about it than I expected to. But also, I was kind of distracted. I had to, like I said, I had to check and add something for someone because reasons. If we're looking through it here, there's going to be some light value here. There's going to be some 7th round light value. I feel like that every year. I always say there's going to be value late in the 7th round, and then the guys get picked, and then they never pop up again. Or maybe I hear their name on special teams once 3 years later, but that's unfortunately usually the nature of the business. It doesn't. The pre-draft hype for a lot of these guys sometimes exceeds the actual impact. And obviously that's a pretty obvious statement. It's a duh statement, especially for a lot of like the 1st round guys who are hyped up and then never work out. But it's different. I'm not talking about just the 1st round guys. I'm talking about the 7th rounders, the 6th rounders, the 5th rounders, the guys who are, developmental guys. You could say they could develop into rotational players who could develop into stars, but then they just, they're special teamers. They are on practice squads. They are cut and signed 3 times by 5 different teams in a year. I mean, it's that kind of stuff that really changes the game. Not changes the game, but really throws things off in a sense for these players. And it kind of ruins, you had your fun with your pre-draft and your mocks and all that kind of stuff. But realistically, a lot of these guys aren't going to be in the NFL 4 years from now. Which is why I say, pick your guys, pick the guys you like in the 7th round or the 6th round, because realistically, they're not going to be around in the league very long. So you might as well pick guys that you like, because their chances of them becoming full-time stars or doing anything more than special teams for the early part of their careers is very unlikely. All right, one more. We'll do one more. As I said, I didn't think this was going to be an hour-long stream. I expect it to be going for a little while. I think they're giving us all the same trades at this point, because I remember having that before. But this one's new. Jacksonville wants to jump up one spot. And they're going to throw in a 5th rounder. We might as well do that. Yeah, we might as well do that. I think one spot won't hurt us that badly. I didn't get to see who they picked, though. I can't make that out. That's annoying. Oh, get the heck out of here, Miami. I'm not jumping that far back in the draft. Just doesn't make sense. If this offer was 32, a 3rd and 5th for just 25, I might consider it. But because it's also taking one of our 4th rounders, I think that's a deal breaker. I would counter offer. If they do this. It's a dumb move. It's a dumb move. But if they do this, how about this? Let me put it this way. Can I finesse them into giving me more? I want more. So swap. So that's gonna need a 3rd rounder to get that to work. And a 4th rounder? What if I remove that? Remove this. So we're swapping 1st, swapping 3rds. And I get an extra 2nd for it. Not my favorite move. Can I steal a 5th rounder? No, I can't. Can I steal a 6th? Possibly. Will I get an acceptance? No. All right, remove the 6th. Yay. They want me to take. They want me to move up. I understand why, but I would also be moving back 9 spots in the 3rd round. I don't really want to do that. I'm willing to wait on this one. Jacksonville's offering 33 and a 7th rounder. A 7th rounder is really not worth that much, as I already said. 44. That's not going to happen. Yeah. 7th rounders aren't worth that much. I'm not gonna do that deal just because I'm kind of worried about who they might take. All right, offensive lineman. Who is the one person who's been watching the stream the entire time? I want to know who you are. Can you type something in chat here? I know you can see the chat. I'll put hello. I know there's one person here watching. I can see the number. Well, whoever you are, I appreciate it. You might have walked away from your computer by now, but I appreciate the fact that you have at least left it on me, so you can say that one person's watching. This situation, Tucker's still on the board, and it's very hard to walk away from that, like I already mentioned. But in theory, we pick at 56, we might get a center there. And I'm going to be gunning for getting a center. We could go differently here. We could go corner. Asante Samuel Jr. is out there. I like him quite a bit. I like him more than Eric Stokes, certainly. I think there are some concerns with Aaron Robinson, the size. I would take Greg Newsom before I would take Aaron Robinson. And when I say size, not necessarily like the height, but the length more so, the arm length is an issue there. There's still quite a few good offensive tackles on the board, including a good right tackle down here. Running backs will be fine. Running backs we can get almost whenever. Oh, Christian Barmore. That's an interesting one. That is an interesting one. I would be tempted to take him there just to put him on that defensive front. I think that'd be fun, but not very realistic in this case. Randall Moore, that's someone I want to avoid. No offense, but I just the cost of it all would be very interesting. I can't say that last name, but this guy is the second best tight end in the draft by far. I'd love to have him in Pittsburgh, him or Brevin Jordan, honestly. But I don't think that's in the cards. Like I said, we got to really go offensive line here. And it's just a question of do we go Vera Tucker or do we go offensive tackle here? I think we take Tevin Jenkins. I've been taking Tevin Jenkins every time so far. It's him or Eichenberg. It's really him or Eichenberg for me. I'm not considering Alex Leatherwood so much. It's him or Eichenberg. And I'm going to take Jenkins again. I've sort of fallen in love with that pick, you could say that. I think he is going to go higher than Eichenberg, so I might as well take him higher than him. 32nd overall. Lock it in. Let's see if we can counter this. I want to get one. I want to get a pick back. They didn't want to give a pick back. They just want 1 for 3. Can I? They just want this. Apparently, they just want this trade no matter what. It has to be this trade. Well, we do have an extra 4th rounder. We have an extra 6th rounder. So I'm willing to move up for this. I'm willing to do this. And I should accept it because this is what the offer they sent me exactly. So might as well. Moving up here gives me an opportunity to look at everyone again. Did Vera Tucker not go? He didn't. What did my first mock? I want to pull my first mock up because I want to see what happened now exactly. I think I got both. No, I didn't. I only got Tevin Jenkins. I didn't get AVT as well. What about my second one? My second one, I got both of them. I got in the reverse order. I had Vera Tucker at 24, Jenkins at 36. This time around, I'll be taking Jenkins at 32, Vera Tucker at 36. I don't want to make it too boring. I take the same guys over and over again consistently. It's just that Vera Tucker would be incredible value at the spot because he's falling into the second round, something that shouldn't happen. Should not happen in the simulation or in real life. Just like Christian Barmore is also incredible value at the spot. Wyatt Davis would be decent. Landon Dickerson would be decent. Creed Humphrey, I guess you could say. Depends on your personal opinion. Like I said, I'm not going to butcher that last name, but he'd also be a good value here at the spot. So there's a bunch of players, maybe 5 or 6, I would say, that would fit really well here with where Pittsburgh's picking. And one of the needs is going to be guard, potentially. But I think guards are more plentiful in the NFL than centers. Centers are a more rare position to find. So I'm going to take Landon Dickerson here because it's much harder, in my opinion, to find a center than it is to find a guard. There are plenty of those floating around you can get your hands on. Centers are much tougher. And Pittsburgh obviously has a very good history with centers right now. Okay, I would love to move up again. This time it's going to cost me a 4th rounder. I don't think they're going to be really willing to negotiate this. Oh, they what? I could drop back to the 5th rounder and maybe get away with this. What if? Yeah, they're not going to like that very much. Oh, well, hello there. A very interesting philosophy here from New England. I could get a 2nd and a 5th. What if I put it 4? Yeah, they weren't going to like that too much. I'll try this. I'll see. Maybe can I drop this back? I was really pushing the boundaries here. Yeah, we'll see if we can do this. This is going to move me up almost 20 spots. I'd be willing to do that. I'm betting they're going to decline this, though. I'm probably going to have to settle for that and a 5th. Can I get a 7th as well? Unlikely from the looks of it, but we'll give it a go anyways. All right, I'll take it. So we're on the board again at 47. Vera Tucker just went. Oh, he went 2 picks ahead. Oh man. Shout out to Rod also went. Hey, all the guys are like Greg Newsom went, Aaron Robinson went, Stokes went. They're home. See, this is the block. This block right here of players. I meant to highlight Vera Tucker too, but this block between 45 and about 38 are guys that I would really like to get my hands on. Those guys are all very good players. And then most of them are going to be available in the 2nd round. And here's that drop off at cornerback to really. I would take probably Elijah Molden before I would take Tyson Campbell. Even though I know some people are very high on Tyson Campbell, I'd probably take Elijah Molden higher. I recognize he's primarily going to be a slot corner, but I'd be willing to take that. I'd be willing to take a primary slot guy in this position, although it's round 2. I would ordinarily say round 3 is where I probably would take him. But I think I might take him ahead of Tyson Campbell. As ridiculous as that might sound. The running backs, all the running backs are still on the board, so I can still get Javonte Williams here. Wide receivers, Amon-Ra St. Brown is ranked a little low here. I think him and Elijah Moore both ranked a little low. I think those guys could be potentially 2nd round picks. Carmen Jackson is also on the board. That's a right tackle there. We do need one of those. These are we drafted center tackle. We do need a guard. Wyatt Davis is more of a power guard. I kind of want to say F and take Wyatt Davis because you know what? Corners, they're not great right now. Running backs, there will be running backs available. We know this from doing the simulation a couple times at this point. There are good safeties on the board, but we don't really need one of those right now. Linebacker, Pete Warner is decent, but I'd almost rather have Drew Wilcox, if I'm being honest. He's pretty good in pass coverage. Wide receiver, I'm not really worried about. Tight end, we could get the best tight end. I mean, Eric Ebron. I mean, look, who's our backup behind Eric Ebron? It's still the guy we took a couple drafts ago. Yeah, Zach Gentry. Yeah, I'm taking tight end. I'm taking tight end here. I think we could have some more 2 tight ends. That's what help the run game out a little bit. And Eric Ebron is known for dropping passes. So, at some point, he's not going to be in Pittsburgh anymore. I think Wyatt Davis is a great player, but the fit is not ideal. Hey, you're still here. Hey, thanks for sticking around. Oh, you're 30 minutes behind me. Okay. I'm sorry about that. I didn't recognize you're still behind me. I think this is a legit thing, man. Teams are limited to the guys we talked to and seen play. So towards the end of the day, 3, I think NFL teams are doing the same as you, just picking. Yeah, really, they're just taking shots in the dark on guys who have really good potential. And they'll look at, to some extent, guys who maybe interviewed well, who just had great combine numbers. I mean, guys, why not take a shot on a guy who ran like a 4.29 or a 4.34? Even if he had some very tough times in college, why not take a shot on a guy like that? You know, players they know. Yeah, you take a shot at guys you know. You just like say Bonaventure basketball. I know, respect, man. I respect that. They have a great basketball program, and I remember going there, looking at the basketball gym. And I wanted to go out and shoot in the court, but we couldn't. They weren't allowed to. I think one of their female basketball players was actually down there getting some reps in, but the basketball court was pretty cool. I got to go there. That looked pretty awesome. So I did enjoy going there. Although the dorms there, I don't know if you've been there or not, very small. The dorms there were very small compared to Clemson, where I ended up going, even compared to the other schools that I looked at, which played a little bit of a role in me not going there. But maybe not the best decision for not going to his college, but you know what? I don't always think things all the way through. Oh, Christian Barmore's available. I should have looked for that. I should have taken him. That would have been the best pick. I just assumed he was gone. All right, let me see if I can finesse my way into countering this. I don't want to give up a 4th rounder. I still think I can do more. So can I give a 5th rounder? They'd be okay with 3rd and 7th. All right, you can have 3 and 7 for me to move up 25 spots. I'm okay with that. Can I get one back? No, absolutely not. All right, that's what we expected. So we covered tight end, not offensive lineman to this point. Did we just start guard out there? Not really anyone on Josh Myers. Maybe. I mean, he's 76 projected here. But, starting center, so it doesn't really matter. There are some good centers in this draft. I think this draft class will do a little bit to revitalize the center position. Right tackle, Jackson Carman. All right. This is something I could work with here. Well, they're projecting him as a guard, though. I don't know if I really like that. I thought I projected him more as a right tackle, to be honest. Which is why he's listed as offensive tackle here. So, I mean, I don't entirely get where you're looking at here. Walker Little's another guy who I like. He's down here as well, but I'm pretty sure he played left tackle, if I'm right. Yeah. So that doesn't make a lot of sense considering we just already took a guy at left tackle. Running back, though, I mean, who's our next pick? It's not for a little while. So we might as well get the running back pick here out of the way. Unless there's someone that just blows me away here towards the top of the board. Javon Holland, and that's pretty tough to pass on. The best pick here might be to go interior defensive line. It might be. I recognize I'm focusing almost entirely on the offense, which might not be the best thing to do, but at the same time, I really think the offense is where we need the most work. And the defense is pretty solid. I recognize we're going to lose some players here, and that's kind of just how it goes. But we're going to work through it. And Jackson Carman, who played, left tackle at Clemson, I got to watch him play. He's a pretty good player. Probably played right tackle, I think, in the NFL. I'm tempted to take him, but three offensive linemen, 1 draft plus tight end. I don't know. I think running back has to be the pick here. Michael Carter is still available. Kenneth Gainwell's available too. Those to me are the top 2 running backs available. I've already talked about those guys potentially being top 5 running backs in this whole draft class. But I mean, we just missed a couple of good safeties as well. But again, safety's not necessarily a spot we need to be picking at. Even though there's a lot of good safety in this draft class, it kind of makes me a little jealous because I like picking good safeties. Jabril Cox is here. That's actually, I don't dislike that. I would like to pick him too. I would like to pick most of these guys, but I do think running back's the more immediate need, and Michael Carter to me is the most proven running back on the board. So I think not taking him would be a mistake. But there's Elijah Mullen. There's a bunch of guys. There's like 4 or 5 guys here that I really want to take. but I'm going to prioritize the offense here and take Michael Carter. I don't feel 100% about that one. Gotta go edge, Sam. What are you talking about? Take Stevenson in the later rounds. I'll consider it, Mark. I'll consider it. I'm glad to see you drop by, though. You're at the very end. I've been going for an hour and 20 minutes here, Mark. My voice is dead. I'm at the edge. I'm like at the end of my rope here. This is my final mock. This is my third one of the night. Made a lot of trades. I'm actually kind of happy with how the trades worked out. These are my picks so far. Tevin Jenkins from Oklahoma State at 32 because I traded back Landon Dickerson. I traded up Pat. Here we go. Last name, try to say it. I know I messed that one up. I'm going to figure that out before drafting. Don't worry. And then Michael Carter at 70. So a lot of trades. I've moved around quite a bit. And I'm kind of happy with the haul so far. All guys, like these guys go up and should be stars. I know Eric Ebron will obviously start at tight end, but I do like the haul has been so far. There's a good edge rusher right here. If you want to talk about that, but you want me to go Stevenson? Let's see if he's still up here. What are you talking about, Mark? He might be gone already, but if you're talking to me about a Stevenson, there's no Stevenson available at edge on this draft board, so I never know he can work, but I mean, maybe he already went. It's potentially he's already gone. Let's see. Show drafted. It's not going to show me. It's not going to show me here for that, but it's all right. Let's see what we got. All right, we got edge rusher here. I did watch him play because obviously, like I said, go to Clemson, so I did get a chance to see him. But we don't run the same scheme. And I don't really want to play him at a side. I don't want to be running him in that position. With the offense, Jalen Twyman's back again. James Wiggins is back again. Usual suspects. Those two, Rashad Weaver. These are the kind of guys I've been looking at basically the entire day. Corner. Who we have? Wow, I'm not blown away by any of these guys. I mean, realistically, they're not bad players. It's just that at this point, in round 4, I would much rather take some of the offensive players than take one of those guys. I think it's much more value there to go on offense. And running back position still got guys. Seth Williams is still there. Daz Newsome is still there. There you go. That's my guy. Daz Newsome's here. I'm going to have to take Daz Newsome. I know it. There could be some great players available here. Like Jalen Twyman might be a much better fit considering for what we might need. Dalen Hayes is here, and he could be a really good fit along with any of those guys. Shocker doing Rashad Weaver, I've talked about in the past. Those guys might be better fit. Even at linebacker, we might be able to find a guy if we really wanted to. James Wiggins, I've talked about. Caden Stearns is available. Even Reed Blankenship, those kind of guys. But really, Daz Newsome's my guy. I think it's got to be Daz. Let me tell you, this is one of the guys like you just fall in love watching what he's done in college. I really like what he's done, and I think we'll be a semi-productive rookie, depending on what team he goes to. And Pittsburgh might not be the most productive because of everything. No, I meant to edge with the last pick, Dick Stevenson, running back, Oklahoma now. Oh. Well, he was on the board. He might still be there, Mark. I saw there was a Stevenson on the board. Let me see. Well, not anymore. I hate to break your heart, Mark, but he is gone. But I already took Michael Carter at running back, so I think it would have been dumb to double down. You said, though, you want an edge with the last pick and Steven. Okay, whatever. I screwed it up, Mark. I already made my mind up, and I've already moved around. But looking now might be the time for edge. Shaka Tooney is out there. Rashad Weaver again. Again, it's the fit, though. They don't necessarily fit what Pittsburgh's trying to run, but granted, you can't be too picky in these kind of situations, especially with a mock draft where you don't actually have to play a season. You don't actually have to convert a guy to a different position. You can kind of just go with what you have. Let me see safety. Is there any of the top safeties still available? Maybe. But we don't really need that right now. Outside only. That's not great. I don't like hearing outside only. Especially for a guy who's looking to be picked. Where are we, around 5 already? Yeah. I don't like hearing outside only. I like to have a guy who can move inside if I need him to. Especially considering the players Pittsburgh could potentially lose this offseason. So looking through every position. Hey, you know what? KJ Costello might be worth a 5th-round pick here. That might be decent value. I'm not going to do it because I just don't believe in throwing a pick at a 5th rounder like that and hoping it hits, because for like quarterback taking him in the 5th round, there is such a low chance you're going to hit that. And if you do, I mean, it's phenomenal. But realistically, if you use a 5th-round pick on an offensive lineman, maybe you can move him between tackle and guard if you need to. If you take a 5th-round pick on a corner, maybe you can move him inside to the slot. Same thing with wide receiver. At running back, there's still a lot that you can do with running backs. You can convert them primarily into fullbacks if you need them to. You can have them be a change tempo back. You don't necessarily have to play them as every down back. So there's a lot of different versatility at those compositions. Even in tight end, you have a good blocking tight end who goes in the 5th round. He doesn't have to be a pass catcher. He can block most of the time. But there's so little versatility with quarterback play. See, once you draft a quarterback, he's a quarterback. You don't get many Terrell Pryors or those kind of guys who can go out and play Greg Ward. You don't get those kind of guys who can play wide receivers very often. And KJ Costello certainly is not that kind of player. So there's just not enough versatility there for me to go out and make that selection and be very confident that's going to work out. 358 pounds. My God. That man could crush me. 3-4 nose tackle or a 1 technique and a 4-3 defensive front. Well, we're going to need a 3-4 nose tackle, I'm pretty sure. When is Tyson Alualu's contract end up? Let me look it up real quick. It was money for us, by the way. Tyson was great this year. I'm hoping he's gotten a year on his deal. Now he's a free agent. Son of a gun. All right. Well, I feel this is a pretty good pick then if we go here. That would be the guy who play nose tackle, and you've got Cam Hayward on the one side, Stephen Tuitt on the other, Watt and Highsmith on the outside. That'd be a pretty good lineup. I think this is the ideal selection here. I know there's some edge rushers here that we could potentially play with. None of them really are a scheme fit for what we're trying to do. And I think this would just be – it would make sense to me. And I know understand that things making sense to me don't necessarily always mean they're a good thing, but I do believe that this is a quality pick here. And it's the 5th round. So, I mean, look, if you miss on a 5th-round pick, it's not the end of the world. When you start missing on those 4th, 3rd, and 2nd round, 1st-round picks, obviously, then it's a big deal. But whiffing on a 5th-round pick, I mean, teams do that almost every year. If you have how many selections did the Chiefs have? They had 3 selections right there in a row in the 5th round. If they hit on one of those, it's been a successful 5th round. You just hit on one of them. So that's kind of the game you play with the NFL draft. Just hit on one, any of them. We do have one more pick, it looks like. I think this is the last one, though. So I'm pretty sure we traded away our 7s to move up earlier. All right, we have not gone corner at all this draft, and that's probably the biggest flaw with this thing. I'm just bouncing around, seeing who's available. Taron Jackson's still out there. That's one of my guys. I already told you guys that. So he'll be a guy who I'll mock a lot, like unnecessarily a lot. The linebacker class, there used to be some good late-round linebackers here. It's just that a lot of them went back to school, and that's really, I think, what's changed the most with this mock draft simulator in the past couple of weeks, is that a lot of guys have determined they're going to go back to school. Like guys even like Zach McLeod, deciding from Miami, deciding to go back to school, like that changes quite a bit. That changes what you're working with here in terms of what you can accomplish. And so you see Justin Ross from Clemson, he was a wide receiver because he missed the whole last season with a surgery. They have him just going like in the 4th or 5th round. That guy, if you can get him in the 4th or 5th round, that's guy's potentially a top 2 receiver in the draft class if he doesn't get hurt this past year or doesn't have surgery this past year. So you get a value guy like that. He's going to Clemson, obviously, and try to raise that stock, play the next year, and get back to being the 1st-round pick. But you get a guy like that in the 4th or 5th round. I mean, that's money immediately. That's the kind of pick you want to make. But obviously, he goes back to school, and changes everything. All right, can you play in the slot, please? Well, obviously, he lines out outside corner. Falls off tackles when he's alone. He's an outside-only corner. I don't like that. Why can't you move inside? Outside-only corner. Why? I want guys who are versatile enough to be able to move inside. Because that's honestly what Clemson needs, what Pittsburgh needs most right now. Although I do think Graham Jr. probably has the best body of work out of this group. And if it's going to be our last pick, I would probably want to go there. I'm not in love with this last selection here. I liked most of my selections early on in this draft. I liked most of my selections up to this point. But now that we're at 6th round, we're kind of just throwing darts at the board. I'm tempted to take Jerome Jackson again, but I've done that already tonight, so I'm going to shake it up a little bit. I've not taken Thomas Graham Jr., so I'm going to take him. First time taking him tonight. Shake it up a little bit. I was wondering if I was going to be able to do 2 mocks tonight, but we're at 11 o'clock right now here on the East Coast. I guess I'm not doing another mock stream tonight. I guess this is it for me. Once this is done, this is the final one. User picks. Here we go. This is what I just do. No, whatever. I can go back and get a screenshot from the stream. That's no big deal. But yeah, that's it for me tonight. We've been going for an hour and a half. I didn't mean to go this long. I thought we were going to go 30 minutes. I went 3 times that much. I'm surprised my voice isn't gone yet, but I'll probably be filming this tomorrow. Anyway, guys, thank you for tuning in. I appreciate it. I know we had like 3 or 4 here at one time, so thank you all. Thank you for gaming with Gio. I hope I'm saying your name right. I apologize if I'm not, but as you can clearly tell from me trying to read the names of some of these guys during the stream, it's not my thing. But thank you for dropping by. Mark, thank you, of course, for dropping by. Like usual, leaving some comments here. But I just appreciate it quite a bit. And I'm going to try to stream more often just because we're getting towards the end of football season. The NFL, obviously, we have the Super Bowl coming up on Sunday. And then it's basically draft season after that. So I am going to try to stream more. I'm going to try to do more mock drafts and stuff like that with the Draft Network Simulator. And I hope you guys will stick with me and be along for the ride. But yeah, thank you guys. Have a good night. And see you around.